Before we get started here, do me a favor. Wherever you got this podcast, make sure you subscribe, give us a rating, and if you have time and like what you're hearing, make sure you write a review. It really helps us get the word out so we can have a lot more people coming to the party. Welcome to Music on the Run. I'm your host, St. Paul Peterson, and I've been lucky enough to record or tour with people like Prince, the Steve Miller Band, and Kenny Loggins, to name a few. Music on the Run takes you behind the scenes of the entertainment business, and we explore how our guests survive and thrive while spending the bulk of their lives on the road. So sit back and enjoy the latest episode of Music on the Run. Hey everybody, St. Paul Peterson here. How are you doing? Welcome to the Electro Voice booth. I'm here representing EV, but my podcast is also called Music on the Run. And we took a little bit of a break over the last year or so because I've been busy working. But we are back in force, and I have to thank my buddy Michael at Electro Voice. We're so honored to be back here at NAMM. So for my listening audience, for those of you who don't know what NAMM is the National Association of Music Merchants, and probably it's got to be the biggest convention in the U.S., isn't that right? I mean, what's bigger than this? I don't think anything is. So I am joined also by my producer, Davide Raso, back here on the board. He's going to make everything run smoothly, so thank you for being here, Davide. But this is going to be fun. We've got really a low-energy guest today. My guest is a Grammy Award-winning drummer who has played with Ringo Starr, David Lee Roth, Maynard Ferguson, Don Henley, Santana, Ray Charles, and so many others. We'll figure out that when he gets out here. And he was also voted the best all-around drummer in the 2023 Modern Drummer Readers Poll. Please give a warm welcome to Gregg Bissonette.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Paul. You know, I got to see St. Paul and the All-Stars a few months ago. And when they come to town, you are not going to believe what a show. And the songs that we love, the Minneapolis funk, man.
You love that stuff, don't you?
Oh, my God. I'm from Detroit, and I love Motown, but I love Minneapolis funk, man. Prince, The Time, everything you've done, man. Holy cow, Paul.
So you have to understand something. So I've met Gregg a couple of times. He's played with our mutual friend, Victor Wooten, and we've met a couple of times, but he was in town playing with Ringo the same night I had an event at Paisley Park, which we often do. Yeah. And I get a call from, I don't know who it was from, but
it was somebody from Bunkers said, you know, Paul's playing tomorrow night at Paisley Park. I said, Paisley Park? Yeah. What? Yeah. He said, I'll call him and see if it's a private event, but I might be able to ask Paul, and you got me in, man.
So he comes out, and he is just, first of all, he's the nicest guy in show business. Oh. And he really is. And the most talented guy in show business, too. So Gregg Bissonette is sitting on the side of the stage, just grooving the entire night long as we're playing all these great Prince time and family songs. So that's so fun. Thank you. That's so much for coming to that.
It was so funky, man. And what I didn't know, I mean, I know about the Peterson family, and I know most of them, but years ago I got to play on this tribute to the Buddy Rich Band, and the lead alto player was Tom Peterson. That's his first cousin. Tell us about Cousin Tom.
That's true. I noticed this video when I was doing my research before the interview, and on your website is this, you had great hair, by the way. I mean, lovely, really wonderful mullet. Really beautiful. So I'm looking and admiring his mullet and his drumming, of course. But who's in the background but my first cousin, Tommy? And I wrote him, I'm like, do you know who's playing the tenor on this?
And speaking of big bands, the first big band album, the first big band gig that my brother Matt, bass player, and I got was with Maynard Ferguson, and the producer of our album, Live in San Francisco, and many other albums I've done, is right here. Please stand up, Jeff Weber.
Hey!
Jeff Weber.
What an honor to have you in there. Thank you for being here. Wow. So I was going to just say, you and I have something in common besides music.
we come from a musical family.
Yeah, Paul.
I want to hear about your fam.
Thank you. Well, we both have parents extremely musical. I just learned about your mom and dad in Minneapolis, and that Oscar Peterson, no relation, came over and jammed with his dad.
I have a recording of it. I have a recording of it. I think Oscar was on piano and my dad was on B3. Yeah. I'm like, that's my dad.
And your dad's name was?
Willie Peterson.
And your mom's name? Singer?
Jeannie Arlen Peterson. Dad only lived till he was 48, and just it was terrible, unfortunate. But Mom lived and played until she was 90. Was she 92, Taylor? 90. She
92.
was on 11, raising all these kids, playing gigs all over town. We'd say, Mom, can you babysit the kids? She's like, no, I got 3 gigs.
Did you say she could play like Art
She
Tatum?
could play like Art Tatum. It was unbelievable.
And sang?
And sang like a bird.
Oh, my
She was
gosh.
unbelievable. Now, I want to hear about your parents.
My dad was a drummer, Bud Bissonette. In fact, we have a new snare drum at Dixon, my drum company, and it's called the Big Bud. It's a fat, big, walnut, deep, like ELO, kind of Don Henley, Eagles, or a lot of 80s funk,
Heck yeah.
I tuned it low for Ringo, and he hit it, and he goes, deep. Like the White Album. I was like, wow. But my dad's name was Bud, and he was a jazz drummer in Detroit. And when my dad was playing at the Ambassador Hotel, he came out of the wedding he was playing with his band, and he saw the lobby was festooned with thousands of screaming kids. And he asked his friend, the food and beverage manager, Bob, what's going on? He said, Bud, the Beatles are staying upstairs. They're playing tomorrow night at Detroit Hockey Arena where the Red Wings played, Olympia. And my dad says, any chance you could get me close to 6 tickets? He says, Bud, it's the Beatles. They've been sold out for 6 months, but you're a good guy. Come back when your gig's over at 1 a.m. He goes back in the bar, and the food and beverage manager goes, Bud, I got good news and bad news. I got you 6 tickets for the Beatles tomorrow night, but it's going to cost $36 total, $6 a ticket.
Oh,
my dad says, I'm making 50 on the gig. I'll clear $14. Kids, we're going to see the Beatles. And my mom played jazz vibes in my dad's band. And
really?
My aunt played piano, and we're a super musical family. Not as extended as the Peterson family. How many of you are there that are making a living in the Peterson family right now?
How many are there?
10, 12?
Well, there's 5 brothers and sisters. Then there's the second generation. Jason plays with Michael Bolton's band. And then my daughter out here is out in L.A. doing her thing. Jean Taylor's an excellent singer-songwriter. And then your cousins are also in the business. We have a big blowout every December where we all kind of go into our Christmas mode, and we've been doing a Christmas concert for 35 years or something like that. You have to come for that.
Speaking of Christmas and families, have you seen Peter Michael Escovedo, Sheila E.'s brother's Christmas video of his extended family?
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, the Escovedos are unbelievable.
It's a production. It's right up there. Should be like next to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for the next Emmy.
And they just got a street named after themselves. Did you see that? They finally got a street
in
named.
Oakland?
In Oakland, they did. And I'm so happy that Pops and Moms got to see all that. And
have you played with Sheila a lot?
Oh, Sheila and I go way back. We call each other cousins.
You do?
Oh, yeah. She and I were in. Now, this is getting to be way too much about me.
I'm
going to direct this right back to you. Sheila and I were in the Prince camp at the same exact time, and Prince made everything about competition.
Wow.
So we were in competition with Sheila. We'd send disc videos, like analog style on VHS, FedEx them to Oakland. She'd do a disc video and FedEx it to Minneapolis. And so we'd be like, oh yeah. So
videos of what?
Videos of us making fun of each other's bands.
Wow.
They exist somewhere on the planet, and I'm dying to see them.
When she played that double bass drum solo, and Prince goes, not bad for a girl.
Oh yeah. Sheila and I went to Australia together with my brothers. It was Ricky Peterson and Billy Peterson, my nephew Jason, and Sheila, and myself. It was unbelievable.
What a band.
Well, you just talked about the Beatles. Now, how big of an influence was the Beatles on you as just being a little kid?
Well, to me, Paul, it was 2 things. Growing up in Detroit, we had a 24/7 Motown station, actually out of Windsor, Ontario, called CKLW. Anybody from Detroit? Anyway, the Motor City, and all they did was play 24/7 Motown. So the Temptations, Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Jackson 5,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder,
No
Marvin
good music
Gaye.
in Detroit in that time.
No music in Detroit. And so between that and being 1964, this week, I'm leaving Saturday to go to the International Beatles Festival. It's Beatles on the Beach in Delray Beach, Florida. Cheap Trick's playing tonight. Will Lee's band, the Fab Four, plays
great.
Saturday, and I'm doing a clinic on why Ringo's my favorite drummer. But it was 60 years ago, this February 9th, that the Beatles played on Ed Sullivan. So when that date happened, I was 5 years old, just going, who are these guys? And that drummer is so cool. And my dad being a drummer, we had drums in the basement. But you had Elvis, and DJ Fontana is like in the back, and there's Elvis. And you had all these bands, but the drummer's in the back. The Beatles, it was like the four-headed monster. John, Paul, George, and on a riser is Ringo. You could see them. And Meet the Beatles, John, Paul, George, Ringo. They were a band. And they wrote most of their own songs. They played on their own stuff. But the vibe, I saw Hard Day's Night in a drive-in movie theater. And little did I know that my brother, Matt, who's been playing bass with Elton for the last 12 years, who would have known that in 2003, we would get a call from Ringo to be in Ringo's band called Ringo and the Roundheads. And then later, in 2008, I took Sheila's place with the All-Star Band.
Wait a minute. You can't just glaze over this. Hold on a minute. Let me just stop you. He's done that before. You get a call to be in Ringo's band? How does that happen?
It's midnight in 2003. And my son had a bad dream, and he's 25 now. And I'm kind of rocking him, going, oh, it's going to be cool. It's just a dream, Noah. And there were no iPhones in 2003. They didn't come out till 2006, I think, or 5. But anyway, I pick up the landline, and it's this producer who's producing Steven Tyler. And he's a great producer. He's also Ringo's producer, Mark Hudson. And Mark calls and says, hey, man, I need you to play on a Steven Tyler song. He hates the drum machine on this shuffle. Drum machines don't swing the way he wants. And so I said, great, I'll be there tomorrow, like 10 a.m., because I live in Thousand Oaks, if you know where L.A., and he's in Santa Monica. He says, well, we need you now. I said, well, it's midnight. My son's having a bad dream. He said, I just finished producing Ringo's 4th album, and his Ludwig drums are set up. You can play them if you get here. I'll be right there. So for the sound check, Bruce Sugar, who's Ringo's engineer, who's Mark's engineer back then, he was engineer of this Steven Tyler album. So he was about to say what most engineers say in studios. Let me hear the kick drum, bro. And you go, for 10 minutes, and you're let me hear the snare. Well, there's a little sympathetic vibration on the toms. I said, I'm not doing that. I'm on Ringo's drums. I'm going to play for Mark, because he has Ringo's ear. I'm going to play every Ringo beat I know. So let's see if you know them.
Yep. Come together.
Very, very hard beat, because there's only one hi-hat per bar. There are places in my life, one hi-hat per bar, and tomorrow never knows. And so I play like 12
So you did them all.
these.
You did them all.
I did them all, and Mark comes in the room and he goes, man, I knew that you and your brother had a Beatle tribute band, and I know Ringo's your favorite drummer, and you do all the NAMM shows and the clinics talking about why Ringo's your favorite song drummer, which he is. He says, but man, now I've really experienced it. He goes, if Ringo's son Zach, who plays in The Who, if he's going to be out with The Who next month, he was going to do this tour with Ringo and the Roundheads. When Ringo does albums and he does Leno or Kimmel or this or that or Fallon, then he needs a drummer. He said, if his son Zach is out with The Who, you got the gig. I said, like that? And he says, yeah, he'll trust me. And by the way, does your brother have a Hofner? And I said, does Dolly Parton sleep on her back? I said, of course he has a Hofner. He goes, tell him he's got the gig too. And Zach was out, we got the gig.
Oh my God. Yeah, what a beautiful story. And the rest is history.
Well, then the All-Star Band, right? The first All-Star Band was Levon Helm and Jim Keltner and Ringo. Ringo was so worried about, like, am I going to do this? He had Levon and Keltner, and he's in the middle. Second tour was Ringo and his son, Zach. And then, you know, see if you know this, Phil. 1, 2, ba-da, ba-doom, ba-da, ba-da. All right.
Oh,
now,
I thought it was a Beatles song you were asking for.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Simon Kirk, you were in Beatle mode. Simon Kirk, Free, right? And Bad Company. Simon Kirk was the next all-star drummer for many tours. Then the great Sheila E. for many years.
Right.
And then Ringo looked at me one day and he says, I'd love to have you in the all-star band, but you got to have songs that you could sing, that you made hits. I said, well, that's not going to happen. And in 2008, he called and said, I've run out of drummers that have hit songs. You want to be in the All-Star band? So since 2008, I've been playing drums with my favorite drummer, and we're going out in May.
So did you became friendly? Oh, that's congratulations,
Oh, thanks,
by the way.
Paul.
What an unbelievable gig. So you became friendly with him, and you stayed in touch, obviously.
Oh, yeah, we are dear, dear friends. Ringo's the kind of guy, he's like you. I'm not trying to be schmoozy, but Paul is the kind of guy that will look you in the eye and talk to you and wait until you finish what you're going to say, and then pick up on what...
Oh.
Yeah, not like talk radio where it's like, rah, but he will just, Ringo will look at you and he'll nod and he'll digest it, and then he'll pick up on the last thing you said and you'll have a conversation. And he says peace and love, but he's not kidding. He really is about peace and love. He's in the moment, and that's something we all need to do more. Not think about, well, what did I just do? And when am I going to go? Where am I going tomorrow? It's what are we doing?
It's this
right?
thing. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but I have a problem with this.
And it's killing our memory too. We go, whatever, let me Google it. No, send a messenger back. We got to work on the memory.
Yeah.
It's important.
You are so right about being able to be in the moment. And I just became a grandpa 2 days ago, by the way. Now I got to talk like this and chew my coat.
Gabby Hayes.
But now more than ever, you know, being a musician and being in the entertainment business means you have to be all things to all people. That means everything can be done on this cute little device, right? And we do it. However, we have to make a choice, and it's really, really hard for me to do, to just go, okay, let's just put a phone. We used to do phone piles at dinner, right? I'm looking at my daughter right now, for those of you just listening. It's to be in the moment and to be able to actually truly engage in a conversation with another human. What were you
saying? Sorry.
I want you to talk about, it's Kathy, your sister?
You know my sister.
No, but I want to know about her.
Thank you. My sister Kathy, very musical. Her favorite group of all time. Now, this is really serious in our family. At the same time that the Jackson 5 were on the cover of Teen Beat, there was another brother group that was equally neck and neck, and then they got lapped by the Jacksons. Who was that? The Osmonds.
I worked with Donnie for 20 years.
What?
We
Judd
got more.
Miller, you know Judd?
Who?
Trumpet player Judd Miller.
I
Nick
don't.
Vincent.
I know Nikolai like crazy. We did the
Okay.
Donnie Marie TV show together.
You were
We
on
have
Donnie and
catching up to
Marie's
do.
TV show.
I was, yes.
Well, I love Donnie Osmond because of my sister, right? Because she just relentless. Everything's purple, purple socks, purple hair. So my sister sings and she played guitar, but now she works for AEG Live. And she's the one that goes, hello, AEG Live? No, we don't have Coachella tickets. AEG Live? Hi, no, we don't have Coachella tickets. AEG Live? No, we don't have any more Stagecoach tickets. So, but my sister is my hero. She's great. How do you know Kathy?
Well, I don't. I was doing research, and I know how important family is to you.
Amen. Yeah. That's
Family.
it. Family.
So, as a matter of fact, I also read that you took lessons from your dad first.
I did. Thank you, Paul. I took drum lessons from my dad, but he said, you know, I never learned how to correctly hold the sticks. I just started the band and started playing gigs. I want you to get with a guy with the Detroit Symphony and learn to read and hold them a certain way. But my dad would let me go to his gig, and I'd have a little tux. I would be 12 years old, and I'd set up the drums. And then my dad, he had the house gig at the Rooster Tail, downtown Detroit, this really jamming club. And he'd play, you know, ba 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 ba.
Yeah. Name that song.
in Decifinato? No.
Oh,
Is it Jobim? What?
I don't. What is it?
So Sharia, my sister-in-law, who, can I tell a story about my sister? First, my dad, real quick. So my dad would let my brother and I sit in with his band, and I was the rock guy, because my dad didn't want to learn how to play rock. He was like Satin Doll, Jobim, Bossa Novas, polkas, but when it came time for rock, and they were really equipped, because they had a Cordovox, electric accordion, upright bass and tenor sax, no vocals. But when it was time, play some rock, he would give me the sticks, and he'd go to the bar and have a beer, and I'd play Jeremiah was a book with no vocals. Right? And we're playing with tenor sax and, taking care of business, songs like that. Anyway, so my dad would let me sit in and let my brother sit in. But my brother, Matt, meets his bride, Sharia Bissonette, at Disneyland. Please stand up, Sharia.
Hi, Sharia. I just met her today as well.
And so they are playing at Disneyland where Space Mountain is, right? And the Coca-Cola Terrace rises up. Now it's where they had the Star Wars fights. And so they're playing in this top 40 band. It's 1983. And have you ever heard of a drummer named Josh Freese? He's in the Foo Fighters.
Of course.
He was my drum student. Well, his dad ran Disneyland Music. So he walks around and he hears Sharia singing, my brother playing bass, and he goes, no, you are not going to play that song. And Paul knows this song intimately.
You have to tell this. You just told me right before we started this segment, but you got to tell the whole thing because it's related to...
Okay, so they're playing Jungle Love by Morris Day and the Time. Can we do the dance? Oh, we, oh. Think I wanna know you. So he goes, you can't play that song at Disneyland.
Why can't you play that song?
That's what my brother said. He said, the breakdown. Yeah. Come on, baby. You want to make love or what? That's not Disneyland. So my brother, okay. So the next day, Stan comes by again, and they're doing it. Sharia's doing the dance, and they're singing, and Stan's furious. He's like, you guys are going to be fired. My brother says, wait. And the breakdown comes up, and Matt says, come on, baby. You want to ride Space Mountain or what? He goes, all right. So that's going to be in the act with the Minneapolis All-Star.
Yeah. Do you want us to ride Space Mountain or what? Next time you're there, I'm singing that.
Okay.
You mentioned your brother. You guys are like the dynamic duo. Tell me about playing with your bro, because I will just say up front that playing with my brothers, I'm from a musical family.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to say a thing, and you're communicating. Musically, we know what changes he's going to go to.
Yeah.
Even if they're from left field, you know what they're going to do, and it's an unspoken, beautiful, relaxed thing. Is that the same way for you?
It's exactly the same, Paul. We listened to the same exact music growing up together. We had a band, and we were so into, because I'm 64 and he's 62, we were so into this one band that we decided to get the same instrumentation and play our high school dances and only play songs from this band. And when you play the prom and you play homecoming, these songs, a couple of them are great, but they don't all work. But the kids were dancing. We had trumpet, trombone, sax, bass, guitar, keyboards, percussion, and a lead singer. We were Chicago 2.
Is that what you called yourself?
We called ourselves Chicago. And I told Danny Seraphin when I met him, I said, Danny, my brother and I, the drummer from Chicago, my brother and I, we had this band in Detroit, and we played all Chicago songs, and we were called Chicago 2. You were called Chicago. I said, yeah, we went to Woolworths, we bought light blue T-shirts, and we ironed on the Chicago cursive thing with a Roman numeral 2.
Yes.
He goes, you were Chicago too. But anyway, we've just played together so much, and with my dad's band and with everything. So we always gigging together. And
Tell me some of the gigs that you've shared with your brother.
well, the first gig we had was with Jeff Weber producing Maynard Ferguson live in San Francisco.
Wow.
Greatest leader
Wait,
you
now,
got.
this is a complete jazz thing.
Big band jazz, yeah. But Maynard wasn't a jazz snob. Like, there's a lot of jazz rednecks out there. All they want to do is swing. And I love swing. But if you just swing all the time, it's like you can only have a salad. You can never have a piece of chicken. Well, he had Afro-Cuban songs like Coconut Champagne, funk songs like Herbie Hancock, kind of chameleon, theme from Rocky. I mean, Maynard was a rocker. We took him to see Journey one night, and he's like, there's people up there with lighters. So the next day he asked our keyboard player, Ron Pentley, get one of those remote keyboards. And so Maynard loved all kinds of music, and so that's why he was my favorite. I love Stan Kenton, Woody Herman, Duke Ellington, you name it, but man, Maynard was well-rounded. So that was he got the gig first, and then I got the gig because of nepotism.
Yes.
And
it works wonders, let me tell you something.
And then our next gig was Gino Vanelli.
Wait, Gino Vanelli?
I love Gino. He's my hero.
Living inside myself.
Living inside this hell. How about
Living inside the love.
How
The
about
greatest
this one?
drum fills of all time.
How about Brother to Brother?
Is that Haslip on that?
That's Jimmy Haslip and Mark Cranny. And man, we auditioned on that song, Brother to Brother.
So there are auditions involved in these gigs.
Oh yeah, there was
It's not
big,
like you're, okay, are you available?
No.
It's
It
more
was-
like, can you come and audition?
It was
so
a
you're
ca-
like us.
You're like, well, it was a cattle call because the word came out that Gino Vanelli was putting a new band together. And I was lucky enough to have a wonderful girlfriend named Karen Childs who could play like Ross Vanelli and could play jazz and could solo. So my brother Matt and Karen and I all auditioned. We rehearsed in our garage and we auditioned, and Gino says, what do you want to play? We said, how about Brother to Brother? He goes, you know it? We go, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gave us the gig, right?
Wow.
So, and then after that, the next thing would be probably David Lee Roth. I was in David Lee Roth's band with Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai, and Billy left, and Dave says, your brother plays bass, he's going to be in the band. So he became the bass player.
Wait,
And
let me interrupt. We're talking about a jazz gig to a kind of, what would you call
Metal.
Gino?
Oh, Gino
would be
pop fusion.
Pop, jazz, pop fusion.
Yeah.
Into a metal gig.
Yeah.
By the way, we mentioned earlier you had awesome hair for that job at that time.
Thank you, Paul.
No. But how does a guy like you?
Can I answer the question I know you're going to ask?
Yes, please.
We're going to take a little break from the interview right now because I want to tell you about a couple of really cool things. First of all, we're having so much fun with our weekly 1-minute funk jams called Funk Friday. We've had so many world-class musicians on Funk Friday, including members of the Steve Miller Band, Fleetwood Mac, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Earth, Wind & Fire, just to name a few. You can check that out on all of our social media, but you can also see it on our YouTube channel. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of our members who have supported us on Patreon. Don't know what Patreon is? Go to www.patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast, and there you'll get all sorts of information on how you can financially help us produce this podcast. There are all kinds of incentives listed there on the website, and there are many different levels on how you can become involved. We could not put on this podcast without our patrons. All right, let's get back to the interview.
Can I answer the question I know you're going to ask?
Yes, please.
David Lee Roth is a musicologist. How does a guy like Paul Peterson play bebop and play with Prince? Well, David Lee Roth auditions me, and he says, so who was your last gig? And I went, oh my gosh, I'm dead in the water, because he's a rock guy, right? Not knowing that he's a really brilliant musicologist. I said, Gino Vanelli, and he goes, Gino, Nightwalker, Brother to Brother. He knows Gino. He goes, yeah. What about before that? Now I said, now I'm really going to be dead in the water, because he's not going to know Big Band Jeff. I said, Maynard Ferguson, and David Lee Roth says, Maynard Ferguson, the high note trumpet player, band leader that covered Herbie Hancock's Chameleon and theme from Rocky? And I said, yeah. And he goes, if you can power that 18-piece big band, you can power the four of us. Welcome to the band. Payday starts Friday. Let's go get some Mex food.
What?
Because he loves styles.
How great is
And then
that?
we get into his car, this cool lowrider, and he puts on an 8-track tape. And he goes, you probably know this. He said, we're going to cut this on the album. And it starts off, 1, 2, boom, 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 boom. That's life. I said, that's Frank Sinatra, that's life. He goes, yeah, we're going to do it with the big band. Could you play that? I go, I know this song. So it was cool.
Wow.
He's
what
a musicologist.
Ride.
He's a well-rounded guy.
Really? I would have never thought that.
Just a gigolo. He had a hit with that. California
did.
Girls, Beach Boys. Anyway.
Tell me about the mustard seeds, man.
Oh, man.
Come
Thank you, Paul, for knowing about the mustard seeds. My brother and I said, we get to do all these cool gigs, but we got to do our own band.
Yep.
And so George Bernhardt and Doug Bossy joined Matt and I in a band called the Mustard Seeds. And we had as a role model a great band that's a trio that tuned down and sounded like the Beatles, Sly and the Family Stone, and the heaviest thing ever. And they played last night in the arena. Who? King's X. The best trio you'll ever hear, you know. And so we were trying to be like King's X. And King's X came to our show at the Troubadour. Their tour bus was going by, and they saw the mustard seeds on the look, and they said, we came in to see you guys. We said, we're nervous, man. I hope you don't mind that we're trying to borrow, like Soundgarden used to say, what are you doing, Soundgarden? We're waiting for the next King's X album to come out so we can rip some stuff off. They tuned down. They tuned down before anybody, but real Beatley, like because harmonies. And so we said to Doug and Ty and Jerry in King's X, we said, we hope you're not offended that we're really kind of trying to sound like our version of you guys. And they said, we hope that you have more success than we do. How about that?
Wow.
And they're successful, but they were blessing us, you know?
Yeah. Do
King's
you
X.
bring this much energy and good vibes to every gig you do? No, I mean, you must, right? This is why he gets hired with everybody. I mean, really,
Thank you.
you deserve everything you get. But it's amazing just to sit and hear you talk in the short time that we've gotten to know each
Is
other.
that like the Grammys when they play songs that we got to stop?
playing you off.
Thank you to the Academy.
Well, that's all the time we've got today there, Greg. I'm sorry, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it so much. And a parting gift we have for you is this water.
Well, you should know, Paul, you are, you know, Ringo said something to me on the plane a couple of years ago. He says, man, brother, you're a people pleaser, aren't you? And I said, I am. I love people. And my dad was a people person. And he said to me, that's probably why you've lasted so long in the band. Paul, it's why we get to do what we do, because the pie, you cut it in half, and half of it is how Paul Peterson plays, and his stage persona, and his vocals, and his musicianship. The other half of the pie has nothing to do with how you play. It has everything to do with, do you like people? Do you enjoy talking to people? Are you somebody that's going to be on that tour bus, which turns into a vacuum-packed submarine? And if somebody is a pant load, they're out of there for the next tour. You got to be somebody that people want to hang out with.
Boy, that's the truth. I mean, you're on stage for 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on the gig. And the rest of the time, you're in that bus. And it's like, if you don't like somebody, ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh, man, that can be a long couple of years or
You
whatever
better
the case
believe
may
it.
be. Well, it's fascinating and not surprising to see how many accolades that you have. You were voted the best all-around drummer last year. Isn't that right?
Well, there's one of the world's drummers. There's a magazine that since I was in my first year of college, I'm 64, 1977, this magazine called Modern Drummer came out.
Yep.
And I think it was 1986, there was a category called Up and Coming. And because of the David Lee Roth gig, I got that. And then in 2015, there was, because of working a lot in Los Angeles, recording session drummer. So the readers vote. And so, you know, anyway, so the readers said studio. And I said, well, the one award that I would love to get that our hero, and Jeff produced Tom Scott Desire with Vinnie Colaiuta, and Vinnie Colaiuta played on Living Inside Myself. Vinnie Colaiuta won the best all-around drummer 11 years in a row. Before that, it was Steve Gadd. I said, I'm never going to win that. And Vinnie's been just kind of so cool about saying, congrats, man, because I don't know how I got that this year, but I got it this year. Thank you, God.
Yeah. And Vinny's such a good job, and I'm not surprised that he would call and
Well, he's a great person, too, you know.
Okay, so you're on the road a lot,
right? So this is called Music on the Run. This is what this is all about. And what I want to find out from you is, how do you maintain a balance between your road life, your home life and all that goes along with it.
Yeah.
How do you stay in shape, like physically, to be able to play?
Ringo is a role model, Paul, because I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke. I'm about drinking water and way too much caffeine.
Hey, me too.
And riding an exercise bike and swimming. That's my thing. I go to clubs like Bunkers and Paisley Park, but I don't just go to like next door. It's not my jam anymore, I just like to, and I don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch the news. I watch the Detroit Lions beat the 49ers Sunday and go to the Super Bowl and beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I watch sports. I'm a Dodger fan and a Lion fan. Sorry, but I watch YouTube. Because I'm a big Rick Beato fan. You like Rick Beato?
Yeah.
I learned so much from Rick Beato, and I can
great interviewer he is.
Did you do an interview with him?
No, I'm just saying he's great.
He's
I really
3.8 million subscribers, and he said to me, "You should be a YouTuber." He said, "Just put out one YouTube video a week. Make sure it looks good and sounds good." So last year. Please subscribe and listen to my video. But anyway, I like YouTube because you could go sports, music, comedy. You can just get entertained by YouTube and pick what you want. And I have YouTube Premium. There's no commercials for $10 a month. Not skip this in 20 seconds. Watch it now. So that's
it's
what
worth the $5 you're saying.
It really is.
To go down the rabbit hole.
So it's worth it. And so I'm about... And my brother is another example. 12 years with Elton. You can waste a lot of time when Elton John wants to play 2 gigs a week, and you have 5 days off a week.
Right.
Well, he has this Porta studio, and he writes songs every minute of the day that he's not seeing a movie and eating popcorn. He likes to go to the movies. There's not a movie that's come out my brother hasn't gone to see in the cinema. But the rest of his time, he's writing music, and he writes for all kinds of artists, produces stuff. But I don't write. I just kind of work out, swim, and watch a lot of YouTube,
Got it. And I want you to talk about your kids, because that's got to be the greatest job you have.
It is the greatest. My daughter is about to come to the booth, my drum company, Dixon, 8502.
Yeah, definitely go see him right after this.
In about 20 minutes. She goes to the Berklee College of Music. She's a songwriting and music ed major, singer, and her keyboard player in her band, his dad works for United Airlines. He's a pilot. And he said, "You guys should go to the NAMM show. What if I fly you this morning, Boston to LA, and then Sunday night red eye so they can make school Monday, back to Boston?" And I said, "Well, if you're doing that, I'll get the Uber from LAX to here. Beautiful. And you can stay in my room on the other spare bed in the couch." So my daughter Mary is coming at 3. She's my hero, greatest woman I know, and my son Noah is 25. They both play drums because ever since they had car seats, always put sticks in the seat back, so they can play along, right? So they're both really good drummers. He can play the Travis Barker, Machine Gun Kelly stuff way better than I can. Wow. And he went to Pepperdine, and he's a business major, but he's the youngest sales manager at a Highline Lexus dealer in Thousand Oaks. He's all about cars and business, and so they're my heroes, man. Thank you.
Of course. Now, I want to be good to you and your time. What time do you have to be at the booth over there?
Whenever we're done, don't worry.
Are you sure? Okay. I've only got a couple more questions. And I think this is important to talk about because there's a lot of young musicians out there, or not so young musicians out there, who want to know some tricks of the trade. What advice someone like you, Gregg, would have for an up-and-coming musician to be able to succeed? Because it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's a hard gig.
I teach a lot of lessons, Paul, and I get students that say, I said, "What do you want to do with the drums?" They say, "Well, I want to do what you do. You're a recording session touring musician." And I just say, in 2024, it's not as easy as it was in 1984.
Right.
There aren't as many bands with live drummers. There aren't as many sessions with live drummers, but there are a lot of tours with live drummers. There are a lot of albums with live drummers still. And they said, "Well, how do I get a gig?" I said, "Well, there's a lot of things that go into it. That pie, learn everything you can about every style." I love every style of music. I love working on Afro-Cuban, country, playing with brushes, playing bebop, playing funk, playing the drumming thing, playing metal, double bass. you name it, but the other thing, and reading music is so incredibly important for me. I make little cheat sheet charts. Next week I'm doing a show, Family Guy. You just show up, you don't know what they're going to, there's Walter Murphy has a chart, 100-piece orchestra at Fox, and you read it, and if you make a mistake, the 100-piece orchestra looks and goes, we're doing this again because the drummer can't read. So you read and you do that. But that's all that half of the pie. The other half of the pie is what kind of person are you? And then they say, well, how do you get gigs? Then they ask me, because I don't want to be preachy, but they ask me, how did you get with Maynard Ferguson? How did you get with David Lee Roth? How did you get with Ringo? And I say, well, this is me, but I pray a lot. I'm a prayer guy. And they say, well, I thought you're not supposed to pray for yourself. You're supposed to pray for world peace. I say, I do pray for world peace, but I pray for myself and my family. And I've prayed constantly to be the drummer with Maynard's band. And my will happened to be in line with God's will, and I got the gig. Same thing with David Lee Roth. I went to this cattle call audition. There were 100 drummers behind me. The first guy walks out, and it's Matt Sorum, who became the drummer in Guns N' Roses. And I said, Matt, how did it go? And he goes, man, they wanted me to play double bass. I don't play double bass. So I'm going, okay, get the feet working. The next guy walks out, Russ McKinnon, who plays with Barry Manilow. I said, Russ, how did it go? He goes, oh, man, they said I didn't play hard enough. I'm going, hey, harder, hey. And so, but prayer, man, that was a big prayer. And same thing with Ringo. I love the Beatles. I saw the Beatles live when I was 7 and Matt was 5. And it's like, I want to play Beatle music. I want to play Ringo's. I want to play Yellow Submarine, Octopus's Garden, with a little help from my friends, and It Don't Come Easy and Photograph with Ringo. And I thought, well, Sheila E.'s that drummer. Well, Sheila E. couldn't do the next tour. And a lot of prayer worked for me. So that's just my advice to people. When they ask me, I don't try to be knocking people over the head with
how
it.
important, obviously that's a very important part of who you are, right?
It is. Yeah.
As your faith is important to you.
Absolutely.
I think that's very cool, and it's not a lot of people are going to sit here and talk about that. So I think that's, number one, brave. Number two, I think it's great and refreshing to hear. I think it really is. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Which is important to me. That's another thing we have in common. I'm catching the red eye back on Sunday morning to go play pipe organ for my Catholic church. So go figure.
Good way to go, Paul.
So here's what I want to know. At this stage in your life, what's the most important thing for you now?
Being a dad, I love being a dad more than anything on the planet. And just being someone that can be a light for my kids, because it's not an easy
You're a
world
single
to
dad
be.
too,
I'm
aren't
a
you?
single dad, yeah. And it's just the greatest feeling in the world to be able to have them ask you advice.
Yeah.
When you're kids, right, they ask you, hey, what about this? What about that? Wow, okay. And you get to kind of give your take on it. There's no better gig in the world than being a dad.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have to say this, your energy, your approach, your musicality. We didn't talk a lot about drums. We talked about life.
I love it.
Everybody else can talk about drums.
I'm
In fact,
drummed out.
I will go and hear you play, but it's just so refreshing to hear your take on life and why you're so positive and how you can relate that to other people and how important that is for success. It really is.
Thank you, Paul.
Having you here with me here in the EV booth with this great live audience. Let me hear you out there. Please give it up for my dear friend, Gregg Bissonette.
Thanks for listening. Music on the Run was created by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Recorded, produced, and mixed by Davide Raso. Video edited by Liam Wallace. And a big shout out to our fans on Patreon who make this podcast possible. We'll be back next month with a brand new episode. Until then, remember, life is better with a little help from your friends.